through when you were looking at that scoreboard ticking over on the wickets more than the runs in some cases, how nervous you were about running out of partners, what the chat was with Peter about the strategy with him, and now that he's back in the side and he's proved himself with the bat rather than the ball today, the chat in the dressing room about him.
I was just out in the middle. I was just telling him to watch the ball and just keep watching it really hard and play sort of natural game. When they overpitched, he drove a few balls really nicely. When they bowled short, he was getting underneath it majority of the time, and he had a really good, strong defence, which is what you need on a wicket that is doing a bit. His defence was magnificent. He was willing to get beaten every now and again and just play the line of the ball. He did that beautifully, and I think it's great to see Sid's back. He's very experienced. He's played a lot of cricket over here, and he's a bowler that I think somewhat similar to Woakes, who hits the stumps a lot, maybe a little bit shorter, and is able to hit the stumps from probably a shorter length, if that makes sense. So, it's going to be crucial on this wicket, and I think it's a wicket that will really suit him.
Then Andrew, then Stefan.
Steve, at your peak, one thing that rarely happened was you getting hit on the pads, but 3 times during the World Cup you were LBW and even in Southampton. So leading up to this test, was it something that you were working on particularly? Because today, except the time you shouldered arms, you did not get hit on the pads.
No, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just playing my game and watching the ball. A couple of times I got out LBW in the World Cup when I was slogging, so it didn't really bother me. For me, it's just about watching the ball and being really disciplined and trusting my defence. And if you do that on that sort of wicket, that's what you have to do, I guess, on that sort of wicket. Be willing to play the line of the ball and get a few inside edges down to fine leg, or get beaten on the outside edge, or try and use soft hands so it doesn't carry to the slips and things like that. And I was pleased with the way I did that today.
Steve, in the lead up to the test, Joe Root said that they were pretty keen to see you come in early because the runs you'd scored in the previous Ashes series you'd come on with a bit of a foundation and the ball wasn't doing much. Do you think you might have put that theory to rest today?
I don't know. That's, I guess, Joe's opinion. For me, I'm comfortable where my game is at, and it's just about trusting my defence and being really disciplined like I was today. And you're going to get a good ball every now and again when the ball moves. I think everyone's vulnerable at times when the ball moves. So for me, it's just trusting my defence. And if I do that and I don't go outside of my game plan and I don't make a mistake, then I'm happy.
Steve, given everything that's happened, was there a time when you thought that maybe you'd never get the chance to make another Test century for Australia, or did you always think that this moment would come again?
There were times throughout the last 15 months where I didn't know if I was ever going to play cricket again. I lost a bit of love for it at one point, particularly when I had my elbow operation, and it was really bizarre that it was the day that I got my brace off my elbow I found a love for it again. It was, I don't know what it was like a trigger that just said, right, I'm ready to go again, I want to play, and I want to go out and play for Australia and I guess make people proud and just do what I love doing. I've never sort of had those feelings ever before. I didn't have a great sort of love for the game, and it was there for a little while, and fortunately that love's come back, and I'm really grateful to be in this position now, playing for Australia again and doing what I love.
Right, we've got 6 more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Starting with you,
Steve at the back. Congratulations on your innings. Pantomime villain booing when you walk out to bat is perhaps all part of the fun of the fair. Is it part of the fun of the fair when you reach 100 and when you walk off or run off with 144 runs to your name? Did that remove a little bit of gloss from your achievement today?
It doesn't bother me, to be perfectly honest. It's I know that I've got the support of the guys in the room, and for me that's all that really matters. They went berserk on the balcony when I got to 100, and just looking up at them, you know, it really sort of sent shivers down my spine. It's been a long time coming, getting another Test 100, and yeah, it was just sort of a huge. Pretty good job of that.
Steve, what was going through your mind when Alim Dar gave you out? Were you very confident that the ball was missing the stumps?
I know I get a long way across, and I thought, you know, I've done that quite a few times where I leave the ball and it just hits me on the pad because I get my back leg quite often so far outside the line. So I felt reasonably confident that I was out, that the ball wasn't coming back enough to hit the stumps, and fortunately that was the case today.